Hey, hi, hello! Last week's vlog was a moving vlog, and next week's vlog will also be a moving vlog. I'm going to show off the new place and talk about it a ton. This video is going to be me reading 2 of my 5-star predictions. Right now I am sick. I apologize about my voice. I've been resting it all day. It's actually a lot better than it was this morning and what it was last night. I don't have any mugs with me, so I'm having a nice bowl of tea and food is on the way. This week I'm going to be reading 2 books. I'm going to be reading The Deep by Nick Cutter, which is a story about this world where a pandemic has broken out and the pandemic causes you to have memory loss. People start to forget like really small, simple things at first, and then as they go on, they start to forget like how to function and their bodies fall apart. And this research team was sent to the bottom of the ocean where they found this cure. They went missing. They went MIA. They aren't hearing anything about them. And I believe we are following the team that is sent after them to figure out what's going on. The audiobook is only, I think, about 12 hours, so it shouldn't take me too long. And I loved The Troop by Nick Cutter, and I read that really quickly. I'm expecting good things. The only thing that makes me a little bit nervous is this is the first time I'll be listening to a horror book on my own. I've never lived on my own before, and I've never listened to a horror book while I've been living alone. That's gonna be fun. I need to blow my nose. Next up, I'm going to be listening to Foe by Anne Reid. Now, this is the author of I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which I also really loved, but ended up actually rating a 4.75 because I wasn't a huge fan of the ending. Both of these books are horror books that I am reading for my 5-star prediction video because I liked a work that they had previously written, and I'm trying to do some kind of theme with these 5-star prediction reading vlogs, so that's the theme for this one. It's pretty good. Foe is the story of this couple that lives out in the middle of nowhere, and the man is called away for some type of like emergency thing, and I believe it's his wife, I don't believe it's his girlfriend, is left with someone at the house who's going to keep her company 24/7 and always be watching her, and apparently leads her into this feeling like she is being watched constantly and feeling like she's no longer human. So that one's really short. I think that one's like 5 hours. I ended up buying it because recently Audible had a sale where everything was like $8, and I think I got that one for even cheaper possibly. So I decided to start with Foe by Anne Reid, and I'm about 25% through the book already because that was the shorter one. I have on ×2 speed 2 hours and 11 minutes left. It's going good so far. It definitely reminds me of the way I'm Thinking of Ending Things was written. I generally don't prefer first-person perspective, and it's not doing it for me here. I wonder if because this one is written from first-person perspective male, that I'm not able to just like get into the story like I was with I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It's not bad so far. It just feels kind of predictable. Like nothing's happened yet, but I feel like I already know what's going to happen. It also kind of has that similar like unsettlingness that I'm Thinking of Ending Things has, where you're really not sure what's going on because there's not really a plot that you're following so much. Like the whole entire plot of I'm Thinking of Ending Things, with no spoilers, is a girl goes to visit her boyfriend's family for the first time. Whereas the plot for this one is a man is visited by this government official who's telling him he will one day might go to space. See, like neither of those sound super intriguing or scary or anything like that. And Anne Reid does this really good job of over-explaining details, which makes it eerie, which puts you like on this like high alertness because you know something's coming. You're not sure which details are important and what you're supposed to be paying attention to, and you're not sure where like the horror is going to be coming from. So far though, I'm really not scared or like feeling super intense, but then again, I'm only an hour into the audiobook. I'm not expecting a ton yet. I have to take my cold medicine in an hour, and it's supposed to knock me out. So I'm going to definitely listen for the next hour, and then I might take my medicine, take a shower, and then keep listening until I fall asleep. But I will try to update you again tonight, and if not tonight, tomorrow morning, when hopefully I've made another good chunk through this book. It's an hour later. I have exactly 59 minutes left in this audiobook. I feel like up until this point it hasn't been scary at all. But I do remember when I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things, I wouldn't say it was scary for the first 75% of the book. It was more thrilling, edge of your seat, you're not totally sure what's going on, gross, overly detailed. I just feel like this one isn't even that, honestly. So I'm 63% of the way through. The last 25% of I'm Thinking of Ending Things were some of the scariest things I've ever read. Actually, they might be the scariest things I've ever read. For me personally, of course, everything is personal preference. There was one scene in particular that just like got me. I don't know at this point how this one is going to top that. And I'm not necessarily looking for it to top that. I just am expecting it to be scary at some point, I guess. And it's not, and the sun's about to set, and that scares me a little bit that I haven't gotten to the scary part yet. I was looking up reviews online of I'm Thinking of Ending Things because I wanted to see how other people described Ian Reid's writing, because I just didn't have the words to talk about it, and I didn't want to look at the reviews of Foe yet because I haven't finished it yet. And one review in particular I came across who also really enjoyed the book described it as abstract. And I think that that's a really good way to talk about the books that he writes, because they really are. They're not about a plot or a storyline or about something that's happening really to these characters. It's kind of just these abstract happenstances, and you know that they're all jumbled and you're not really sure what they're about or why they're important, but at the end they all come together and they all end up being significant. And it's just amazing how he's able to really like lose the reader, and that's part of what's horrifying to you. I understand that it's not for everyone. At this point, even though there's really not anything for me to say about this book, I would read another book by him. So last night I finished Foe, but it was like pitch dark and my meds were starting to kick in, so I waited to talk to you guys about it today. Once again, I just want to apologize about how awful my voice sounds. Like, this is disgusting. Foe was good, but it definitely wasn't a 5-star. I really enjoyed the story, the lack of story, how the story was told, I guess is what I want to say, and what story was actually being told, even though there wasn't like a ton of story, like I said. It reminded me so much of a very specific Black Mirror episode, but I'm afraid if I tell you which one it is, that might spoil things for you. Also, I can't remember the name of the Black Mirror episode. If you're super curious, I'm gonna say it right now. If you're not, skip ahead 10 seconds. It's the one where that woman's husband dies. I think it's like in the 3rd or 4th season, and she gets like a robot husband to replace him. So it reminded me of Black Mirror and kind of the Twilight Zone episodes. Like, this could have very easily been an episode in either one of those shows, and it would have done so successful. But I don't know if I would have called this book horror. Like, it wasn't scary, it wasn't horrifying. It was a little thrilling, but honestly not that much. I definitely think I'm Thinking of Ending Things was better for the horror element, but I think that this one would be easily more accessible by more people. So if I wasn't going to call this horror, I was trying to think about like, well, what would I call this book? And I was having a really hard time with that because I don't know exactly what I would call this book. I guess possibly sci-fi thriller would be a really good word for it, which I guess technically some episodes of Black Mirror and Twilight Zone are more scary than other episodes, so some episodes could be considered like a sci-fi thriller more so than a horror episode. That's kind of how I would have categorized the book instead, and I think it would have done better because there really wasn't like a horrific element. But I liked the ending. It was like a twist on an open ending. Like, it wasn't quite an open ending, but it kind of was, but it also was like a twist on that open ending. I think the ending was really good, honestly. So I ended up rating the book 4 to 5 stars. I am going to be keeping track throughout however long it takes me to read all of the books on my 5-star prediction list, and I'm going to be keeping track of the averages so that I know how far away I actually am from all of them being a 5-star and whether or not I'm actually good at predicting 5-star books. So far, I'm not too far off because this is the only one I've read, so the average is 4 stars. Next up will be Deep. I'm going to try to start that today, but today we're going to be doing a lot of renovations and a lot of painting and everything. That one will take me a little bit longer because it is 12 hours, but I will attempt to start it and come to you once I have anything to say about it. Okay, so it's 8 o'clock that night. I finally got my light packed. Almost everything is moved, but you'll see that next week. I am 13% into the Deep, which means I'm in chapter 14, part 1. I have 2 chapters left of part 1, but I decided to pause here and give you guys an update because I have some family coming over in the next like 5-10 minutes to take a tour of my place. I want to update now while it's like fresh in my head. I've been listening for, how long have I been listening to? An hour and 37 minutes on times 2 speed, so about 45 minutes. I'm at the part now where I pretty much understand what the summaries already told me, minus like a few details about characters that I've also learned. So if you don't want to know that kind of stuff, I'm going to be talking about it right now. And further on in the book, I will decide as I go whether or not I'm going to be spoiling things, but I will tell you always before I spoil things. So if you don't want to know like the general first 15% back of the book summary, turn away. I'm really enjoying it first off. Want to say that. It's slow. It's building up to something, which is what I really enjoy in horror. I don't enjoy like slow build up in fantasy so much, but I feel like with horror it helps build that tension and I'm really into it. So far we have this understanding of what Gits is. It's the disease that people get where it causes sores on their bodies and for them to forget everything until eventually they forget how to live and then they die. And we've had a few different characters kind of interact with our main guy Luke to tell us, the reader, kind of the story of how their loved ones got Gits, so that it's not just like our main character kind of telling us about this disease. We're kind of getting some experience from it, so it's done well. Our main character Luke is a veterinarian. He's an adult, and his brother, his older brother, is this famous scientist. And this man, this famous scientist, I can't think of his brother's name right now, has done amazing and terrible things. He is a psychopath by far. And you kind of learn a little bit about their childhood and how you kind of start to wonder if their mom might have messed with them a little bit to make them a little bit weird, but they both are incredibly smart. But his brother is the one who's leading the research for the group that's under the ocean trying to find the cure for Gits. And we've kind of been introduced to the ambrosia, which is the item that they think is going to cure the Gits and what it is and how it works. And it's this amorphous black blob that seems to suck into any kind of item that it's near it, and it takes the shape of that item. And if that item happens to be a living creature, it wants that living creature to be able to live as long as possible and be its host for as long as possible. So it basically cures that creature of all ailments. And so they're kind of thinking that it's going to be the cure for Gits because they might be able to like give it to people and it's going to cure them of this thing and it'll be great. But our main character Luke, of course, is kind of suspicious. And so the reason why he's called in is because his brother has gone MIA. They can like see on the heat map that him and his partner are down under the ocean 8 miles down, still on the tank, but no one is responding to messages. So they got Luke because they thought that he might be able to talk to his brother and figure out what's going on. They had a third partner down there, and I'm at the part where the next chapter is going to tell me what happened to that third partner, who apparently showed up in a submarine the day before, and I think the partner is going to be like disgusting. I think it's going to be a lot of body horror in the next chapter, which is great. That's what I signed up for in this book, so I'm ready for it. So far, I would say that it does remind me a bit of The Troop just because of the writing style and the setup of the story. Like, we have a psychopath who is probably going to be doing horrible things and playing mind games on other characters stuck in this small setting. I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is Luke and this like female general woman and possibly this other guy who's with them who's a scientist are going to go down, and they're going to be trapped 8 miles under the ocean with ambrosia, which may or may not be taking over Luke's brother, but Luke's brother being just psychotic and playing games with them and messing with them. Like, that's just a prediction, you know? I don't know if it's gonna be real or not, but it's just kind of what I'm feeling. I kind of hope that's what it is, because if that's it, that's horrifying. I'm gonna keep going. I have 10 hours and 50 minutes left. There's no way I'm gonna be finishing this up tomorrow, because tomorrow's the final moving day. But I'm gonna keep listening while I'm unloading. I'll just update you guys as I go. Also, why this reminds me of The Troop is because there's this weird substance that like gets into your body, and we're not sure if you should like cut it out or not. There's like one character already who's like tried to cut it out of themselves. It like absorbs inside of you and seems to kind of control you and make you kind of go a little bit crazy, but it also wants to try to keep you alive for as long as possible so it can feed off of you. A lot of like similar things to The Troop, except now we're gonna be underwater. Okay, slightly different angle than what we've been doing. My house is still crazy, so we're still just filming in my bedroom. So last night, before I fell asleep, I made it to, I think, 25% through the deep. I was about to say The Troop. And today, as of right now, I've made it 43% through, so I'm hoping to be able to listen to a little bit more as I'm falling asleep, which is probably a mistake to be listening to this while I'm falling asleep, but whatever. Loving this book. Oh my god, am I loving this book. This is convincing me to go and read every single Nick Cutter book out there, which I'm pretty sure these are the only two that have audiobooks, but I'm gonna have to go check. Or was that Ian Reed when I looked it up? He has a few more. Oh yes, they have one's in German. Das Kampf, I'm pretty sure is The Troop in German. So they have The Acolyte, Little Heaven, The Deep, The Breach, and The Troop. I might have to try Little Heaven next because that has a lot of reviews on it. I'm loving it so much. Gonna talk about a few things, but I'm not really gonna be spoiling anything. So just so you know, get ready for that. Where I'm at, our main character has gone down into the deep, and he's in like the whatever it is, the underground like research area, and he is with his brother, and it is him, his brother, this woman that is like the general person who brought him down, and there's this like scientist who's kind of gone crazy, locked up somewhere in the building, but they don't really know where, and he seems to be leaving them alone, and they're leaving him alone, and it's just kind of for the best. I am loving the brothers' relationship. It is awful. They're both messed up people, I will say. I think that's part of what I'm really enjoying, is neither one of them is like the hero figure. They both have issues. So our main guy, Luke, has lost his son, and because of that loss has been divorced from his wife, has a lot of mommy issues, very reasonable mommy issues, but has a lot of them, and has always kind of felt second best to his brother because his brother was like a child prodigy. So he's just dealing with a lot of things on his own, and then he shows up to his brother's research, and his brother's basically like, why'd you come? Like, why are you here? I don't need you. The reason why he was brought there is because the people up top got this recording from his brother, whose name I can't remember already, which said, Luke, come home, Luke, come home, Luke, come home. And so they brought Luke down to see if it could help move the research on a little bit faster, because when that recording came up, a dead body came up, and it was one of the researchers. They basically hate each other. I think it's more so that Luke feels that his brother's always been worshipped and has been a psychopath his entire life, and has always wanted his brother to notice him, but hasn't. And that Luke himself is a smart person. He's a veterinarian who helps all kinds of patients, and his brother basically thinks of him as a moron. And then his brother just wants to be left alone to do his research, and doesn't want people to, doesn't want animal rights activists complaining about the fact that he's doing these experiments on animals to help solve human issues. He doesn't want his brother like slowing him down. He doesn't want anyone. He just wants to do his research. And so I don't even know if psychopath is quite the right word. He might be more of a sociopath, but he definitely doesn't have like the full range of human emotions. There's this one part where Luke described him as having a gravedigger's smile, and I loved that. It's the four of them down there, and then there's this like lab, like a chocolate Labrador dog who is like following Luke around as well. And Luke has started to hear things. He thinks he can hear like his lost son, his missing son's laugh. He thinks every once in a while that he hears like his mom's voice. He thinks just weird things are happening, and he's found these recordings from the scientist who went crazy, not the dead one, but the other one who's like roaming around. Recordings are very suspicious, and it's just unsettling, and there's body horror, and there's animal abuse, animal cruelty, animal horror, like, you know, body horror, but it's animals who are going through the body horror, not so much the people too much. But I'm loving it. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a 5-star. I'm not gonna look online as to why people didn't like this book until I finish, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be because of the body horror and because of the animals basically being tortured. Like, Nick Carter's writing is just great. The best way I could describe it is similar to Stephen King, but not sexist or racist or homophobic. I wouldn't say that Nick Carter has good representation. His characters always seem to kind of be white males, but you know, he doesn't have to write those things. I'm kind of glad that he's writing about his own experience instead of trying to write about someone else's experience. But I do think he could have better representation, you know, maybe in his side cast, but also it's horror, so that's just an excuse to torture minorities for a lot of people. But what I like about him is Stephen King just has such sexist, racist, and homophobic comments throughout his books. Like, his writing is good and his horror is good and his stories are unique, but I just can't get past it. It's every single book. Like, every single book. I haven't rated a single Stephen King book 5 stars because I've always taken at least a 0.25 off for his just disgusting comments that he makes. And I don't feel that way with Nick Carter. But I feel like Nick Carter's horror is like similarly written to Stephen King's writings. But he always has body horror in his books. And I love body horror. I think it's great. I think it's horrifying. And that's what I want when I sign up for one of these books. Shit, guys. I'm at 77% through this book. It's happening. Like, oh, some big reveals just happened that I feel like I should have seen coming, but I did not see coming. And I am just like, what? So I have 2 hours and 48 minutes left in the audiobook, which is an hour and 24 minutes on ×2 speed. It is 8:15 right now, so I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to finish this book tonight or not. And tomorrow is like a crazy busy day at work, so if I have any that I need to listen to at work, I'm not gonna be able to do it. Am I gonna try to stay up tonight and finish this horror book right before bed? Heck yeah. I love the relationship between Clayton and Luke. Those are the 2 brothers. I couldn't remember Clayton's name for the life of me earlier. I'm glad that I might be right about one of my 5-star predictions in this video. Oh my god. Oh. Part 5, chapter 13 scared me so bad that I got up and closed my door. I've been sleeping with my bedroom door open to get the AC like in my room better, and I closed it. I'm so freaked out. I am legitimately so scared right now. I know that I'm like laughing and joking with you, but that's just how I deal with this, that I'm considering stopping it tonight because I don't want to keep listening to this audiobook while I'm like getting ready for bed. Who said, Amanda, buy a home and listen to a horror audiobook your first few nights there? That's smart. I'm definitely gonna stop right now. I'm not finishing this tonight. Like, there's no way in hell I'm finishing this tonight because that'll put me around 10 o'clock at this point because I've had to stop a few times just to like breathe. Finish it tomorrow. I want to finish part 5 tonight, so I think I'm gonna stop and like take a breather again, go wash my face and brush my teeth and like get ready for bed, and then I'll come back here and try to finish part 5. And if I'm able to do that, I will try and talk to you about it at that point, which means I'll just have part 6 to finish maybe in the morning while I'm getting ready. And then I also have my commute to work. I just heard something, and did you see me? Did you see me? It was literally a plastic bag moving. I wasn't gonna come and update you again tonight. Oh my god. No, I didn't finish the book, okay? I'm just sobbing while reading the book. I knew from the beginning that this chapter was coming because our main character is a veterinarian and his brother experiments on animals. And when he gets down to his brother's lab, the first creature that he runs into, like I said earlier, was a chocolate lab. So I knew this chapter was coming, but it's so much worse than I thought it was gonna be. So I'm just gonna have a good cry while reading this book. You know what? I can count on one hand the number of books that have legitimately scared me, and I can count on one hand, a very different hand, the number of books that have made me cry. Like really cry, not just like tear up, but like cry. And this book is the only one that's ever managed to do both. I'm not crying because I'm scared. I'm crying because I am heartbroken. I will be rating 5 stars, but even after I finish it, I don't think this is a book I would recommend to very many people at all. If anything happens where I feel like I'm going to be reacting, maybe I'll just put on the like time lapse for you all. Did you enjoy watching me ugly sob last night? Yeah, it was real fun, wasn't it? I cried for a while reading that book. Not gonna lie, it's the second hardest I've ever cried in a book. I think I cried a little bit harder in The Fate of the Tearling. So I didn't finish the book last night. I fell asleep while listening to it, and I was able to like pause it like just as I was falling asleep and passing out, because I'm on a lot of cold medicine right now, so it just makes me sleep like crazy, which is kind of nice because normally I don't sleep that well. I woke up this morning and had 9 minutes left on the audiobook, and I finished it up before I even left for work, but I've had a crazy busy day, so I'm here to tell you now. I rated the book 5 out of 5 stars. Loved it. I don't think I liked it quite as much as The Troop. I will say that I prefer The Troop to The Deep, but I'm going to be reading other books by Nick Cutter. I'm going to be reading Little Heavens, probably not that long from now. Just depends on when I can get my hands on it. And I'm going to be checking out some of his other stories. So one of the things I want to quickly talk about that really impacted me about the ending was something is revealed about Clayton. Yeah, his name is Clayton. Oh my god, I'm so out of it. Clayton, the brother, something is revealed, and I am going to do a slight spoiler right now about it, but it's gonna be the only like really big spoiler that I'm gonna do, and it's really not that important to the story in general. You know throughout the story that the mother has sexually assaulted Luke, our main character, and oh my god, it's starting to pour. I bet you guys can hear that now. So you know throughout the story that the mother has sexually assaulted Luke when he was a child, and you know that she is dead. And you find out near the end of the story that she not only sexually assaulted Clayton, but she also raped him multiple times. And that he took it into his own hands and poisoned and murdered her and feels no remorse at all. And that he didn't do it to protect anyone or to take care of his brother, or to take care of a rapist, but he literally did it because someone wronged him and he wanted to wrong them back. I felt like in that moment, even with this horrible thing having happened, I was rooting for Clayton. I was like, you go. I'm glad you murdered your mother. She was awful, and she deserved it, and I feel no remorse or pity whatsoever for you having killed her. I do want to say that there was definitely some fat phobia around the mother. She was said to weigh around 400 pounds, and they definitely like harped on the fact that she was like extremely grotesque and ugly because of her weight. I mean, I know they were saying that she was an awful human being and she was ugly before she gained that weight and even after she lost it, but there was a lot of fat phobic comments, so that wasn't great. I really loved the book. It had an open ending, which is one of my favorite things ever. If you haven't seen my open ending video, my trope test where I read just open-ended books, it was fun. I really enjoy that trope. It's my fave. I think it's so good, and so whenever a book has it now, I'm just like, heck yeah. It can now be added to my list of favorite books that I've read in 2021. Yes, I rated 5 stars, which means that my average right now for books that I've read for this challenge is a 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you've seen my 5-star predictions video, you should go and comment either here or there which books you'd like me to read next for this challenge to see whether or not they are accurate. There's all of them that I want to read, so I've officially gotten 2 out of the 15 off the list, and I'm excited to be getting to the next ones. Let me know down below if you have any 5-star predictions, if you've read either of these books and what you thought about them, if you like to make 5-star predictions or not, or if you think that that's just kind of setting you up for failure. I'm really curious to know how other people handle things like this. I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I will talk to you in the comments. Bye!